Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Supercoach Insider podcast. My name is Swizz, here for the round 5 kickoff. We'll get into what's happening there in one moment, but as always, check us out on all our social media platforms, in particular YouTube, Spotify. Get in contact with us via X. Thank you for all the people who do reach out. Supercoach Insider 100, or in particular for me, Swizz 26. Just been enjoying watching the cricket. We have a couple of friends over at the moment. So one of them is Indian. So me and him are having some good discussion and arguments on the couch, but we are here for BBL. So personally for me last week, 789, which dropped me back 155 spots back to 556. The big thing was my vice captain did not work out. Obviously well, what can we say about the Renegades first up, and then what happened with the Stars too in that first match against the Scorchers. So had Overton, so it was a little bit disappointing, but that is the way it goes. Like in the end, if I'd kind of gone a bowler with maybe Thornton, it would have been paid off. And bringing in Ollie Pope, thinking, well, with short out, he'd open the batting, which he did, which worked out quite well, except for the fact that he got out early and only scored 48 for the round. So that was quite disappointing. All right, in regards to my changes, before I cop into your questions, and I had a couple of people tweet me some too. But if I put up my undo, and if it wants to play ball here with me, we've got now, because of developments, at the moment, I've got in Warner, Agar. I was looking at bringing maybe a third Thunder just to make it easier for next week. But Chris Jordan is his break even's quite good, starting to hit form, and obviously he has the double coming up in round 8, so thought might get him in now. Warner, Agar, and Jordan. The only other two Thunder I really kind of want is Ferguson, who's probably not going to be here for the double anyway. It's actually, you can probably confirm that he's not going to be in for the double. And and Daniel Sams. Chris Green maybe, so it probably will end up being Chris Green and Sams. But outside of that, there's not too many other Thunder players that are really appealing for me. And my outs at the moment, Akil, Dorsius, and Renshaw. And that is because the weather radar at the moment is not great in Coffs Harbour. I'll see if I can actually share that screen right now. But it has been pouring down, and we've been expecting this up in Coffs all day. Matt, that's a great question. I will get to that one in a second, because there is a bit of thought about that. But here is the live radar. Down the bottom here is where Coffs Harbour is. So this is the Grafton radar. And as you can see, right down at the bottom of the screen, all the rain is concentrated on Coffs Harbour at the moment. So if they play, it is apparently pelting down at the moment. So that is why, for me, Renshaw, Dorsius, and Akil Hussain are out of my side. And then we'll go and then I've tried to loophole my other players. So if I get up that screen again to show you what's going on with my team, let's see if Supercoach will play. Fine, there we go. So I have gone with, on the bench so far, I've got Philippi with the emergency on, Jack Edwards with the emergency on, and Spencer Johnson all there. So if they don't play, so be it. With the break evens of Johnson, I still think Phil will be such a good player. Like, I was tempted to hold Dorsius, but it's kind of a bat flip there of which one I'd kind of want. Like, Dorsius is a better player, but he does have that really large break even, and is obviously a little bit more expensive, but it's more actually just the break even with him. Where Philippi, it is that little bit lower. And Jack Edwards, the fact that looks like he's getting over that injury, and it just gives him a little bit more time now, so he can bat and bowl. We know obviously he's batting top 4 for the Sydney Sixers. So, and if he is bowling some overs, he's a very handy all-rounder to have on the run home. So I've got them all loopholed, and if they get to play, that awesome. But if they don't, well, it's not going to affect me too much, and that's the side I'm going to have to go with. I have got Scott in the flexible position at the moment, just more the fact that he can be moved. If he plays, great. If he doesn't, he'll can swap around, probably swap him, end up with, say, a Stoinis, or somebody just to get maybe a loophole score. So if Edwards doesn't play, I can always put Harper on there. I can move some players around, and that's why I was going to actually trade out Sam Harper this week, but because of the weather, I just thought, well, I may as well keep him, because he may be required in the wicket keeping position, and just to give me some playing around with my team. All right, so there is some good, well, no good news, but there's some questions coming through, so I will answer these. Yes, Batflip definitely delayed their match, and as I was saying, yeah, it's all the updates that are still coming through to me. It is belting down, and I've got that radar still going live, and it's still not looking good. So, yes, if you are, make sure you don't. I wouldn't waste putting time on VC or captains in this game at all. There is a double game tonight, too, guys, straight after this. So you do need to be aware that we do have the double-header game, which will potentially catch a few people out. Scorchers and Thunder kick off in 3 hours and 25 minutes. Sam, haven't been around for the last few days. Is Matt Short still out? The fact that this game is the Strikers don't play until Sunday is a better chance. Now, it is away game, but they, just like last week, they'll give him every opportunity to play. He was close last week, didn't get up for it. I'm going to expect the exact same this round. Nothing's confirmed with him as of yet. If he doesn't play this game, they don't play until the 11th. Probably the biggest thing for Adelaide, they're sixth. They're only 2 points out of that top four. So they're not far out after getting the win the other day. So do they kind of hope that he gets up? They're going to push every chance, because if they can get another win here, they're right back in the mix. So I wouldn't. And the fact that they do have the bye coming up, like there's potential, like could they just rest him and that gives him to the 11th of Jan potentially there, where maybe they think, well, if he gets through this game and then he can have a week off before playing his next. So it's a bit of a risk. I get why some people are still trying to hold him. And that's probably why I've reversed. I was looking at trading Overton out, but I'll keep Overton as much as he was a bit poor the other day. If Short's unlikely still, Overton still gets that little bit more bulk of the work. Matty, thoughts on Sam Billings? I said this last week. I wasn't a huge fan of bringing him in. Like the break even was great, but the big score jump was because of playing the Melbourne Stars. So his scores this year has been 29, 35, 147, and 40. It's got a reasonable history against the Scorchers, 72, 47, 102, but the two big scores have come when they're not playing in Perth. The game's in Perth tonight where he scored a 47, and just actually looking at his run. So that was what he got, a 72 against the Stars after I can't remember their score. He was on maybe 26 when he should have been run out by Paris if they had appealed. But he hasn't been really making that many runs. And really was just boosted because of the amount of catches the last two games. He took 4 catches and 3 catches, which is great as a wicketkeeper. But when he's literally he scored 40 last game and 30 is coming from catches, it's a bit of a worry with that. They've got him making 21K this week, but with that break even of minus 26. But again, their projected score for him is quite hard projected of 62. I think it's more realistic. He probably goes about a 40 at best. So you might get 15K. I just think if I'm going to go, I just think it's better off. He'll play through the double. So that is one thing. But I would rather they don't really have all-rounders, so I'd rather go bowlers. That's kind of where I sit with that. Their doubles, it's at the Gabba and out at Sydney Thunder Stadium. The Gabba, we know, is not too bad of a batting deck, but some decent bowlers still he's going to come up against in Johnson and Bartlett. It's not something that's I've got no problem with people going there. It's just not something that I'm jumping to get, especially at his price too. He's 153. If he goes up, it's going to be 160, 170. I would rather go elsewhere. Sam's potentially goes down under 150 next week. So I'd rather Sam's, Warner with his break even, Agar. I think they're the 3 that you must have. And then at least Chris Green bowling, his little spinners. I think that's a better option. And then if Ferguson gets a replacement, that's the one I'm really waiting to see who replaces Ferguson in the side if he's not here for the double. So that's where I'd probably want to go. And there was the thought of going the 3 Thunder and maybe getting Sam's in this week or Chris Green in this week. I just don't like up the matchup against the Thunder. And I was thinking, do I really want 6 Thunder players in that one round? I think it's maybe too much. So I was I'll settle with 5 if that's the way it works out. And with Jordan and his break even of minus 47, especially if the strikers, because that's who they're playing this week, if they play the strikers down Hobart and Short doesn't play, we saw how bad they batted the other day. So they've got a projected score of Jordan for 47. His last two games are 63 and 114. If he puts out another massive score, he could go up 30, 40K. And I don't really want to be paying 150, 160K for Jordan next week. And that could get out of the hand. And by the time his double comes around, he could be 180K. So it's just easy to get him in now. And I'm trying to load up my team. Outside of Warner, my whole team is bowlers or all-rounders with a couple of batsman keepers. And in a perfect world, if I could move Pope and Philippe on, but you need at least a couple of keepers in there. I really kind of want guys all-rounders. The left field guy there, and unfortunately he doesn't have a double, but I was chatting to a couple of people before, is Lawrence from the Stars. Absolutely destroyed the Renegades last time. Looked awesome last week. Looks like he's going to probably take Maxi's overs. So he's one that could definitely look at. He's expensive, but he could potentially crack the 200K over the next couple of weeks. Thunderstorm, love that name. I'm trading Pope, Walter, and Seinfeld to Sams, Agar, and Billings. As I said, I'm not thrilled with the Billings, but I'm not going to argue against it there. But no problems at all. Obviously, Pope's going to have the bye coming out. Walter may not get a go tonight, especially those guys. The all-rounders are gold in Supercoach until we get rain. Like, what's he going to potentially bowl? If they get, say, let's it's a T10, they get on. And he's going to bowl 2 overs, big deal. He's going to bat at 7. He's not coming in. It's just unfortunately has to go. And might need to have to keep Pope now. And this was my thing. I was looking at maybe I try to trade out like Overton and Pope, or do I look at getting rid of some deadwood like Harper, or even maybe go a little early on Scott, even though he could be a good loophole option. But with these rain around, it's just easy to move these guys on. I did have a question before. I think it was Matt online did message me about what are your thoughts about single scoring players like Cooper Connolly? So I really like that. Not as much as thrilled about Cooper Connolly now, just because when Hardy's come in, you're paying 170 for a guy where they've got their full complement in. Agar's obviously bowling overs, so when he had the role and he put up that 102 and 127. So I think there's probably others you could nearly go for, but I'm not against it. Some of these bowlers do come in their own right now. So Berendorf, Bartlett. They're those quicks are sort of the guys you want. Spencer Johnson, if he didn't have the washout today. Riley Meredith's another potential cheaper one. His break even is at a point where you can still wait off for him, but you sort of see these bowlers just sort of really coming out. Jai Richardson, as obviously a superstar too. So if you can get players like your Sutherlands, Edwards, Overton's obviously going to leave soon, but sort of those guys taking up your batsman positions, and then in your bowlers, you want your either your double guys like your Agars and Jordans, and then some of these single game players, Thornton, Rogers, Richardson, all them. All right, moving on. Corey, Fergus O'Neill has to go, and maybe Renshaw over. Fergus O'Neill was probably my first traded out, but he was in that list of players. But I'm going to keep him now, just because of obviously the weather around tonight. The break even's not great for him. Obviously, it's 118, and his form the last couple of games hasn't been great. He did score that 114 in round 1. They do have the Stars in 2 games out of the next 3. The Perth game. It's not usually a bad place for quick bowlers to bowl, so it's not the worst fixture for them. We obviously the Stars are trying to make a little bit of a run at it, but we know how poor they have been. And if you can kind of get a couple of wickets up the top, you got to try to then get through Lawrence, Stoinis, and Maxwell if he's in the mood. And then if you get through that, Cartwright, Harper, usually a wickets that you can be taken. So there's potential there, to have between Rogers, Zampa, and O'Neill to take, and Sutherland to take all sort of 7, 8, 9 wickets between them. And if they can get 2 or 3, I think it's still potentially worth keeping. The 2 poor scores do hurt, but I think just with the weather issues, if you can keep, it's not the worst thing to keep O'Neill. But if you don't have all the Sixers players like I do, and that was pretty costly for me last week, I was actually looking really good. I was playing in a couple of leagues against former two-time winner Andrew. And coming into the last game, I think I was only 10 points behind him. And by the innings change, I was back in front. And then Zampa and Bethel ended up bit of junk time there, and yeah, he ended up beating me by about 100 points. So it was really frustrating. Obviously, fading Zampa there. Corey, I'm thinking of going Dorcius, Renshaw, and O'Neill for Chaudhry, Jordan, and Agar. And again, yeah, Chaudhry's got a very nice break even, 105k still, minus 33 after 43 and 100 after the Hobart. Had two really poor games. So yeah, again, he could go up 20k just for next week. Yeah, they got a projected score of 41 for him. That's if he has a much better game than that, we could be looking at a guy who's 150, 160k coming to their double. So I don't mind getting on him. And yeah, I think that's the only reason, like Warner, just because his double's coming up sooner. Otherwise, yeah, I'd be tempted for Chaudhry. Corey's gone up to 78 overall. Fantastic, mate. Actually, who's that, Corey? Who isn't? He isn't in the squad. Can you tell me? Oh, Fergus O'Neill isn't in the squad, is he? All right. Well, I might have to look at that. That's very frustrating. Of course. That's is that are you talking about Fergus or Ferguson? Can you confirm that, Corey? Just because obviously I'm trying to look in here. All right, seeing if we've got an update, because we are literally 4 minutes away from the game now. The problem is the game will get locked out. So if you haven't already and you've got these Sixers guys, you need to move these guys out quickly, because the game will lock out. Supercoach, there's no delay to it, which is unfortunate. It would be better if it was locked out for the toss. So it'd be kind of frustrating. So who have we got here? We've got, I'm just trying to see, no update on the weather too, just being pushed back even further. So, frustrating day up there in Coffs Harbour. And the funny thing, like, I like the idea of the game in Coffs Harbour. I think that's a great initiative, everything, and obviously why the Sydney Test is on. But of course, there's actually been no rain in Sydney today. It would have been a good place to have it. But it is the heat home game. But yeah, just unfortunately up that end of the world, where this time of the year we do get a few showers. Logan Bethel, overs, here we come. Thinking of going him with the VC, should be penciled in for 3 minimum. Yeah, and he looked good at the end there. So I think they give him more opportunity. Hasn't shown what he can do with the bat, but that could potentially just be around the corner and against the Stars. They wouldn't want to have a bad game against Beth, because he could go huge and finally reward owners. Thank you, Corey. Fergus O'Neill not in the squad. This still, obviously, as always, changes everything for me. It does put me in a bit of a interesting spot going forward with that. Of course, nothing worse than players out. At least looks like Harper's going to get a game now. Frustrating, but oh well. What can you do sometimes? What do you got? Crone replacing him. Oh, that's such. I don't know why. Why would they do that? He's had a couple of poor games, but yeah, I'd back the kid in. Frustrating. I think that's it coming in. I hope you guys have got that. Those changes in. The hard thing, obviously, you've got as I said, the double, but you've got these 2 rounds also. That's what I haven't talked about. VC and captain. Yeah, must be injured. Logan saying VC and captain important. So it's hard to ignore Sutherland against the Stars. I think, unless you've still got Maxi and you think he's due for a big game. But yeah, Will Sutherland, we know he's going to bat and bowl. And if I'm keeping Overton, I'm going to keep the captaincy on him. It seems to be the case at the moment. These players aren't firing in their double, but are showing something in their single game. So I think Overton's got there's probably nobody in the BBL that plays with so much passion than what Overton does. So I'll back him in. Big game, rebound, and hopefully he can score a decent score. But yeah, if Sutherland, anything over, maybe 60, you probably want to take that anyway. So, I'm confident enough. And the fact that I don't think Doran's going to be in the squad again, and I may even just yeah, there's a couple of strikers, Buckingham, but yeah, because they've got the last game, I can easily take Sutherland score if I need to. So if you do have one of those players missing from the last game, very handy to then just set up your loopholes and stick the captaincy on them. Outside of that, guys, good luck. Hopefully we get some cricket in tonight. It's not looking great, but until 9 p.m. and then the Perth game should be fit and firing. Enjoy, good luck, and we'll talk next round. Bye.